Narayana. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagvatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Guruve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah. Namo Pankajanaphaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangriye. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are so blessed. You must be wondering, what is the thing to be blessed about? Reading Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, in the human form of life, hearing Srila Prabhupada's purports, hearing Srila Prabhupada's translations. What could be a bigger blessing for all of us? So we are so blessed to read Bhagavatam, to hear Bhagavatam, Pibata Bhagavatam, Rasam Alayam, Swadu Swadu Pade Pade, drinking the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam at every step. So let's read Canto 7, Chapter 12. We read till text number 24 yesterday. We're almost towards the end of this chapter, which is entitled The Perfect Society. Perfect Society, the four social classes. So let's study this chapter. We were discussing about some of the symptoms or the qualities of Vanaprastha and how it applies in the contemporary situation. Also, we discussed that as well. Let's study next verse, text 25. Ke khani vayu nishvasams tejaha shushmanam atmavan apashva ashrik shleshma puyani shitau shesham yathodhavam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A sober, self-realized person who has full knowledge should merge the various parts of the body in their original sources. The holes in the body are caused by the sky. The process of breathing is caused by air. The heat of the body is caused by fire. And semen, blood, mucus are caused by water. The hard substances like skin, muscle, and bone are caused by earth. In this way, all the constituents of the body are caused by various elements, and they should be merged again into those elements. Purport: to be self-realized, one must understand the original source of the various elements of the body. The body is a combination of skin, bone, muscle, blood, semen, urine, stool, heat, breath, and so on, which all come from earth, water, fire, air, and sky. One must be well conversant with the sources of all the bodily constituents. Then one becomes a self-realized person, or Atmavan, one who knows the self. Hare Krishna. So, in the last verse, we were reading about the fire element. In this verse, we are discussing about the other elements like earth, water, air, etc. So, body is nothing but a combination of this material. or for that matter, any material thing, is a combination of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Whether it is a home, a phone, a pen, a car, a body, there are some hard substances and soft substances and air, all those, even to the smallest atom to the biggest mountain, they're all a combination of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So an intelligent person understands, who am I, what is this body, and who is ultimately running the body. A dead body also has these constituents. Until the body is buried or burned, the constituents remain the same. The material constituents, they change form, like the earth goes to earth element, fire goes to fire element, water goes to water element, and ultimately the body is dust to dust. We discussed this example, from dust to dust. But when the soul is present, this body has consciousness. Consciousness is the symptom of soul. When there is no soul, the body is dead and gone. The end. Bye bye, expired, chale gaye, he has left. In different religions, different cultures, one thing is common: he has passed away. The soul has passed away. The body is still present. The material element go into their respective sources. And who is the source of all sources? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhumi Rapunalo Vayu Kham Mano Buddhire Pacha. Ankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti ashtada. This is the separated energy of the Lord, the external energy of the Lord, the material energy of the Lord, earth, water, fire, air, ether. So intelligent person understand who made this body, who made this earth, who made this fire, who's the cause. And ultimately, if one is sober, if one becomes self-realized, one understands, who am I, who is God, and what is my relationship. And then we can pursue the path of happiness, Anandamaya Abhyasat. Any other comments, questions? Anyone has additions? Okay, let's read the next. The next three verses are together. So would someone like to read who didn't get chance yesterday? Anyone who didn't get chance yesterday? Should be very, very eager. Reading Bhagavatam is a great blessing, it's a great fortune. Very, very rare. We don't know if Krishna will give us that fortune tomorrow. Not something to be scared, but something to inspire us and to be more eager and enthusiastic. We should be waiting. I want to read. I want to read. And raise your hands beforehand. If you haven't read for this week, that eagerness should be there. Anyone would like to read, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can read.
Yes, please.
Dandot pranam to everyone. Text 26 to 28. Vachamagno savakta vyamindre shilpam karavapi padani gatya vayasi ratnyopasta prajapato mrutyopayu visargam cha yathasthanam vinirtishet dikshu kshotram sanadena स्पर्शेण धात्मनि त्वचं रूपाणि चक्षुषा राजन् ज्योतिषाभिनि विषेयते विषयेत् अप्सु प्रचेतसा जिह्वा घेर्ये घ्राणं शितो नसेत्. Translation and purport by S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thereafter, the object of speech, along with the sense of speech, the tongue, should be bestowed upon fire. Craftsmanship and the two hands should be given to the demigod Indra. The power of the movement and the legs should be given to Lord Vishnu. Sensual pleasure, along with the genitive, should be bestowed upon Prajapati. The rectum, with the power of evacuation, should be bestowed in its proper place unto Mrityu. The aerial instrument along with sound vibration should be given to the deities presiding over the direction. The instrument of touch, along with the sense object of touch, should be given to Vayu. From with the power of sight should be bestowed upon the sun. The tongue, along with the demigod Varuna, should be bestowed upon water, and the power of smell, along with the two Ashwini Kumara demigods, should be bestowed upon the earth. Back to you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, quite complex verse. And as we have discussed that for as devotees, this is basically, what these verses 24 to 31 are the rules for giving up body for a vanprastha. Now it is quite complicated to follow all this. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada has given us a simple process for Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga beings are manda sumanda madeo. The age is small, the memory is small, intelligence is small, everything is small. Only the lust, anger, greed are too much. The bhakti is quite small. So, if we simply follow the process, in today's day and age, what we should follow? Completely the hands for the pleasure of Lord Krishna, the eyes to see the deities of Krishna, the ears to hear the holy name, Vaishnava bhajans, etc., the nose to smell the beautiful fragrance of incense offered to Krishna, or the tulasi offered to the lordships, the tongue to taste prasadam. That's what Lord Srila Amrish Maharaj taught. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayor vachansi vaikuntha gunanu varnane karau harira mandira marjinadishu shrutim chakar achyuta satkathodaye. So all is a wonderful verse in six, all the body parts, how he used in Krishna's service. So even when someone is at deathbed, or if someone is not at deathbed, that's what one of the question was asked by Parikshit Maharaj. What is the duty of a person at all times, and especially what is the duty of a person who is about to die? And the answer was same, because who knows how long we will live? Can anyone tell for certain that I will live 5 more years or 5 more minutes? We don't know. We will live 1 year or 10 years or 1 minute or 100 years. We don't know. Only Krishna knows. So the duty remains the same. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaryuddhacha. Life is a preparation, and if one is living with that consciousness, yet death can come at any point, that does not mean that we become fearful. A healthy fear which should help us to inspire more in our bhakti. Yet we should try our best for Krishna. So, basically using all the senses. Even if a person is at deathbed, we can do our best by putting tulasi in their mouth, which is offered to Krishna, by giving them the Maha garland, which is worn by the deities, or the flowers offered to the deities, the tulasi offered to the deities, giving them the holy water from Radha Kund, Sham Kund, spraying on their body, the holy dust, Ganga Jal, reading Bhagavad Gita, even if they are in coma, even if they are in whatever critical condition, until the soul is present, the spiritual senses are there. The person can hear. We may not be able to feel it. Oh, she is not responding. She is not responding. That does not matter. The soul is present. Consciousness is there. So one must do reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagvatam, and chanting prayers. The holy name is the best prayer, and doing some charity on their behalf, like feeding to the cows, feeding the brahmanas, or other services. Very nice. So in this way, and these services one has to do in lifelong also. So again, the process remains the same. Whether one is at the deathbed, whether one is in a healthy state, the process remains the same, to engage all our senses in Krishna's service. Any other comments? questions? Okay. Kant Prabhu, you want to read?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, everyone. Text 29:30. Manoratis Chandre Buddhim Bodhyai Kavopari Karmanya Adhyatma Rudre Yad Aham Mamata Kriya Satvena Chittam Kshetragni Gunair Vaikar Karikam Pari Apsukshitam Apo Jyotisya Hado Vayu Nabhashya Amyum Kutasthi Taksha Mahanti Tad Avyakti Akshari Cha Tat. Translation by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. The mind, along with all material desires, should be merged in the moon demigod. All the subject matters of intelligence, along with the intelligence itself, should be placed in Lord Brahma. False ego, which is under the influence of the material modes of nature and which induce one to think, I am this body and everything connected with this body is mine, should be merged along with the material activities in Rudra, the predominating deity of false ego. Material consciousness, along with the goal of thought, should be merged in the individual living being, and the demigods acting under the modes of material nature should be merged, along with the perverted living being, into the supreme being. The earth should be merged in water, water in the brightness of sun, this brightness into the air into the sky into the false ego, the false ego into the total material energy, the total material energy into the manifested ingredients, the prarabdha future of the material energy, and at last the ingredient feature of material manifestation into the super soul. Thank you, Prabhu. Please explain.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The biggest false ego, I am this body and everything connected to this body is mine. I, me, and mine. My wealth, my family, my car, my home, my iPhone, iPad, I this, I that. This whole consciousness one has to give up. And how we can give up? When the focus is Krishna. Through our mind, through our senses, through our thoughts, from I consciousness to Krishna consciousness. That is what it says, perverted consciousness or perverted living. And in the process of creation, we read that it is from subtle to gross. In the process of unmerging or merging, it is from gross to subtle, like earth into the water, water in the sun, sun into the air, air in the sky, sky into the false ego into total material energy, the Mahatvatva, the Mahatattva, into the unmanifested called Pradhan, and basically ultimately the cause of all causes, Krishna. But our goal is not this, it's a very complex process, the traditional in previous yugas or way back in previous millenniums, etc. We follow the process of sadhana bhakti yoga process, and Devi Varnashrama. And in that, if one has sincerely tried one's best and lived a Krishna conscious life throughout one's life, then there's a very nice verse which I like. Actually, one of the devotees from from Kanchipur in South India, great associate of Lord Sri Ramanujacharya, asked that what will happen. He asked to Lord Varadraj, what will happen to someone who gives up his body, who served throughout one's life, but due to some reason, one could be in coma, one could be, die in an accident or die, untimely or maybe in a very bad physical situation, not healthy, etc. What will happen to that person? Because that person is not able to call out your name. That person is not able to perhaps think about you. What will happen? Because you say in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Yeta mam prapadyante, sorry, manmana bhav madbhakto madhyaji. Oh my God, that one. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kaleva. Whatever stage one gives up at the end of one's life, whatever stage one has, antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. That stage one will attain. But if one is not able to remember, what will it happen? He has served throughout 30, 40 years. He has served very nicely. She has served very nicely. What will happen? Then Krishna says, very nice verse. Yadi kafvat dosh, yadi kafvat, yadi vatadi doshena madbhakta cha mam nasmaret aham smarami madbhakta nayami paramam gatim. Kafvat pitta, these are the doshas. Yadi vat adi, the word used is vat adi, that means kaf, vat, pit, or any bodily imperfections, whether cancer, coma, health issues, so many types of diseases are there. One is not able, mad bhakta cha mam nasmarit, he is not able to remember Krishna. Krishna says in the next line, aham smarami, I will remember him, I will come. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha I will come, I will give him remembrance. Aham smarami madbhakta, and what will I do? Nayami paramam gatim. Param gatim, what is the topmost destination? Back home, back to Godhead. I will take him back home, back to Godhead. I'm not like a cruel person. In a material world, if someone studies very hard, but at the day of exam or just one day before the exam, he or she falls extremely sick and he cannot go to the examination center. How many of you will say that he will pass the exam? Will he pass the exam? Yes or no? He has studied very, very hard, 2-3 years. But will he pass exam? No. But in Krishna consciousness, he will pass the exam. Because Krishna is not a cruel materialist. He is our loving, caring Father, well-wisher. He sees our genuine endeavor. So, whether one leaves one's body in any part of the world, in any situation, if one has lived a Krishna conscious life, then rest be assured that the doors of back home, back to Godhead are waiting for wide open for him or her. Any comments, questions anyone has? Yes, Nandini Mataji, you want to read last verse of this chapter?
Yes, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam devotees. Text 31. Ityaksharata yatmanam chinmatram avasheshitam Jnatva virameda dagdha yoni rivanalaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When all the material designations have thus merged into their respective material elements, the living beings, who are ultimately completely spiritual, being one in quality with the Supreme Being, should cease from material existence, as flames cease when the wood in which they are burning is consumed. When the material body is returned to its various material elements, only the spiritual being remains. This spiritual being is Brahman and is equal in quality with Parabrahman. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 12th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled The Perfect Society for Spiritual Classes. So this reminded me of Maharaj Prithu leaving his body. In Canto 4 we read, and the sloka starts with two words, Chinna Anyadi, being separated all other concepts of life. And then it speaks that Maharaja Prithu realized Lord Krishna, and then he left his body basically. So when he became completely free from the conception of bodily life. So when we were reading some previous verses, I felt that it's like, you borrow something and you return it. So the moon deity controls the mind. So, in the previous text, we read that the mind is merged back into the moon. So like that, we get freed from all the concepts of bodily designations and then totally focus on Krishna. And that is the way to leave. And in the end, it says, as flame ceases when the wood in which it is burning is consumed. So when the material body is returned to its various material elements, then the only spiritual being remains. So this is very easy to conceptualize. That only the spirit soul is remaining there. And that's how there is creation, and that's how this is a dissolution. Please add, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. That's how much I understand. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you. So nicely you explained this point. A very important point Prabhupada is making, that being one in quality with the Supreme Being. So Mayavadi philosophers or the monist philosophers thinks, okay, after this life we will become one with God, or we will merge with God. So that oneness is in the quality, if one follows the right process, not that one becomes God. The example given is that the parrot may sit on the branch of a tree, and the parrot is green, and the tree is also green. That does not mean that the tree and the parrot have become one. The parrot still has its individuality. Similarly, the spiritual soul, the spirit soul, even in the purified state, always remains a servant. It's not that the soul becomes super soul or the Atma becomes Anu, Paramatma. The Jivera Swarupa Krishna Nitya Das. Our eternal constitutional position is that Nitya Das. It's not that we are Das or we have to be Das for some time and then we become boss or we become Krishna. That's not the Vaishnava understanding as per the scriptures. So this is this is the main difference between the Vaishnava school and the Mayavadi philosophers. So oneness in quality, Satchid Ananda. But the Krishna remains Krishna and Jiva remains Jiva. Any comments, questions anyone has? Any additions?
Yeah, I have one question on this. So it becomes part and parcel of the super soul, right? But if one leads an impious life, then what happens?
Then Canto 6 comes
Starting.
into action. Canto 6 comes into action. We discuss so many narakas waiting for that person. How based on the actions and reactions one gets the result. And that's what Lord Yamaraj, the great Mahajan, has been assigned this service to give reactions based on one's actions. So if one does bad actions, like if one does a lot of intoxication, it is mentioned that boiling liquor will be put, boiling hot iron, molten iron.
Y ponte a follar. Me encanta tu panocha y tus tetas. Cuando bailas twerking, tú te arrechas. Me vuelves loco de placer. Bebé.
Today is a lot of extra people are joining.
There is one more person like that.
Yeah. Somehow, I think I should start using the password. Yes. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So, yeah, impious, the rules are straightforward. As we do, so shall we reap. A lot of people are again joining. How can I lock this thing? Lock meeting, yes. Lock meeting. We found that. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can add to your comments while you do that? Or you're done? No, you're done. Thank you.
So, yeah, does that answer your question? I mean, not to elaborate too much, basically different punishments for different kinds of sinful activities.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes, Mataji, you wanted to say something else?
I just thought while had to take care of those sessions, I can just add something. That's all. Back to you, Prabhu.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, let's do a quick overview of this chapter, chapter 12, the perfect society. In the previous chapter, we discussed about the varnas. There are 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. The 4 varnas are brahmachari, vanaprastha, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, and shudra. And we discussed their qualities as well. This chapter primarily talks about the 4 ashramas. Ashram is a place where spiritual culture is always foremost. This is designed by Kṛṣṇa, so it is perfect system if we follow it rightly. All these ashramas are great, and we discuss one verse also that it's not that one is more important or less important. Basically, if the focus is priority is Kṛṣṇa, then everything is great. So in Brahmachari Ashram, texts 1 to 16 talk about the Brahmachari Ashram, that how one should be sense controlled, one should act for the pleasure of Guru as a servant, worship the Guru, worship the sun god, etc., chant the mantras, and there are multiple things. I'm not going in too much detail like deer skin and pot. The idea is basically simple life, sense controlled life, and sense controlled and simplicity and celibacy. That's brahmacharya. And living under the guidance of spiritual mastery. One should be very, very careful in dealing with the opposite sex, and because the fire and the butter analogy is given, and one should, especially in brahmachari life, and that's what we see today's society is totally opposite, because right from a tender age of 12, 13 years, small kids have girlfriends, boyfriends, and if they don't have so, they are considered as uncommon. They are considered as shudras or low class. So we are living in the society where the culture has become vulture and the vulture has become culture. So it's a very pitiable state, but preserving the body's energy and doing things which the brahmachari life is intended for, that is studying the shastras. Because when one is grihastha with family, children, study is not the main goal. It's difficult. I'm sure most of us here, it's hard, job and family, children, and so many financial responsibilities and social responsibilities and taking care of children and this and that. Then how will one focus on study? But in brahmachari life, what is the duty? There is not much duty. The conditional duty is to study, and constitutional duty is to do bhakti. So one should not accept service from the others, especially the Guru Patni if she is young, and one should be very, very cautious. Why so much caution? fire and butter. Butter comes in contact with fire, it will melt. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And that's what we see even big so-called spiritualists in almost every religion. We have such examples in Hindu, Christian, Muslim. There have been examples in pretty much every religion that people have fallen down. We discussed the story of Jaimini Rishi as well, how Vyasadeva came to teach him a lesson. So self-control is the key. And then in text 11, Bhagavatam mentioned that it is applicable for grihasthas too. Marriage does not mean, oh, now I am done with brahmacharya, no more celibacy, no more sense control, I can enjoy. It is the recipe of suffering. The more I feel, as Prahlad Maharaj said, the more we crave for enjoyment, the crave for happiness, the more we will suffer. So there are certain forbidden items, and training is the main key. Training and to become Brahmanical and to live under the guidance of Guru, to give some Guru Dakshina, to accept Guru's order, study the scriptures, and realize that Krishna is present everywhere, the omnipresence of the Supreme Lord. And what will happen? Text 16, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, we discussed that in great detail. Human life is meant to inquire, to search for the higher happiness. Otherwise, it's go khara. It's ask-like mentality. Animals don't ask question, why I'm suffering. Only humans ask. If we don't do so, then what is the use of being a human? Manushaya janama paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya janiya kshuniya vishekhaya. Will anyone drink knowingly poison? Oh dear sir, here's a glass of poison. Will anyone drink? No. Baba, dur. No one wants poison. We only want nectar. But nectar is Bhagavatam. If we don't study that, and we drink the worldly nectar, the so-called nectar of materialism, of sense gratification, that's poison, which takes us away from Krishna. Pralambasur. It promises happiness, but actually it takes us away from Krishna. So that's then 17 to 31, basically Vanaprastha. After Brahmachari, Grihastha comes Vanaprastha. The idea is Grihastha, one has expanded the family, marriage, children, everything expands. Vanaprastha means, okay, time back to unwind things, back to, now my death is coming nearer. My age is, I'm getting older. My bodily abilities are getting weaker. All these are symbol. My hairs are getting white. My speech, my eyesight is getting weaker. My hearing ability is getting. It's all our symptoms that my time to death is getting nearer. Someone says, "Oh, Krishna didn't give a warning. He suddenly, took me." There's a case. There's a nice drama on this. That how Krishna is giving warning actually. When Dashrath Maharaj saw the first white hair around his ear, immediately said, it's a warning, it's time for me to retire. Let's enthrone Lord Ram, the king. Intelligent people, they understand warning. But what we do, we think we are smarter than God. God will do white hair, we will put Godrej Kesh Kala, 2 rupees mein Bal Kala. We think we are smarter than God. God will do some knee pain, we will do knee surgery. God will do some hip pain, we'll do hip surgery. We think, oh, even at 70 years, my body is working. So, and then when the time of death will come, we'll say, why didn't you tell me before that you were coming? God says, I gave you so many signals, but you thought that you were more intelligent than me, then what to do? You never heard my signals. So the point is, Vanaprastha, the last lap of one's life, one should live very simply, not eat opulent food stuff, not dress opulently, simple clothes, simple food, austerity, go to forest, go to Vrindavan, holy places, travel holy places more, absorb more in Harinam, Kirtan, etc. and ultimately merge oneself, one's Atma into Paramatma. That means complete absorption. Samadhi. Samadhi means one's samadhi. Dhi means intelligence. One's intelligence is equipoised and completely absorbed in Krishna. No more thinking about what will happen to children, what will happen to grandchildren, what will happen to my home after me, who will do this, will my children get this, will my grandchildren, will my great grandchildren. For those who see their children, they say, I want to see my grandchildren. For those who see grandchildren, and somehow if they live, like if they have, let's say their grandchildren are till like 25 or in their 20s, then say, well, I just want to see my grandchild getting married. And then if they happen to live past that phase, I just want to see my grandchild having a baby, and so I can see my great grandchild. It never ends. So in the Grihastha life, one has done one's dutiful endeavor, given the right samskaras to the child, then is between them and Krishna. One should not be over attached. Kunti Maharani is saying, please cut off my bodily attachment. And then she gave up completely in samadhi. So ultimately one goes back home, back to Godhead. If one lives, leads and leaves his body. Leads in Krishna consciousness, lives in consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and leads and lives and leaves the body in Krishna consciousness. Then one's is certain good to go back home, back to Godhead. That's this chapter. Any comments, questions, additions, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
please.
while you're talking about Vanaprastha, I got a small thought, Prabhuji, like a question. You see, our parents, they're not ready to take Vanaprastha because they're so much attached to the grandchildren. And actually, the same attachment they have to keep on Krishna, but they're not ready to substitute or replace it. They're only attached to grandchildren. And we know actually at that age they have to go to Vanaprastha. So we cannot go and tell to our parents you have to leave and you have to go to Vanaprastha. So even if I get this knowledge, I cannot use it for my parents. So when I become old, I can use it. So like it's a very long time gap, you see, Prabhuji, I get the knowledge now, but I cannot put into real use. So how do we address it, Prabhuji? Like how do we tell to our elder parents or somebody like you must take this step? It's very hard, in real time to implement it. I'm asking to implement this. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. Your question has two parts. What about others? And then how do I implement? I am only 30 years old, for example. So number one aspect, how do we tell others? We cannot tell others, basically, especially our elders, if they are not inspired. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, Kumar Acharit Pragyo. He does not say at the age of 50 one should start bhakti. Old habits die hard. It's not that people, will not take to bhakti. There are always examples, who take it very seriously, but those examples are few. Very rarely people take bhakti, and even if they take it, the senses are weak, the strength is weak, and so it will be definitely harder. We have to accept. Now, because their conditioning is so deep rooted, if one has lived one's life for 60 years in a certain mind frame, in a certain consciousness, it will not be easy to change that in a couple of days or weeks or even years. Therefore, as a lesson, we should take from them that if I don't practice seriously now, I will be also just busy watching TV, or just busy taking care of other things but Krishna. So that's the lesson we can take. Now, what can we practically do? Preach by example. Try our best if we can help them. Don't expect that they will go to forest. Request them, take some prasadam, help maybe in some cow protection, help in their agyat sukruti. Let the quota of their agyat sukruti increase by giving some charity, by taking Krishna prasad, You give them tulsi leaf offered to Krishna. Their agyat sukruti is increasing. You pray for them. Devotees can chant, even if they don't chant. Some children chant 1 or 2 rounds for their parents, elders, etc., whom they want to take Krishna bhakti, and it has worked. I know so many examples. Then, as a children, it's our duty to take our parents to Tirth Yatra, to Vrindavan, holy places, Dwarka, Mathura, Jagannath Puri. So we take them whenever circumstances and opportunities allow. We must plan those. Materialistic people plan vacations. Devotees plan yatras. We must do it. Even if we can't go to India, let's say living in United States, we can plan. Okay, let's go to celebrate Janmashtami. Let's go to Alachua. Let's go to Deelen. They're also like holy places where deities are present, devotees are present, opportunities to serve are present, cows are present. They're holy places. So we must try our best. Now, part 2 of your question, it's not that, okay, how do I apply? You're talking about vanaprastha. At least, anything we plan, we plan for future. Everyone plans for future. So we must plan that I want to retire at certain age. I don't want to work till 60 years of my life. I don't want to work till 70 years of my life. I want to be in a holy place. So, and that is once I think Umesh Prabhu asked this question. That is totally once based on a lot of factors and discussion with one's teachers. But the planning has to begin, at least there should be some plan. Rest is at Krishna's plan. But if our plans align with Krishna's plan, then Krishna will help us to execute those plans if they align with Krishna's plan. If our plan is to just be more and more materialistic, not aligned with Krishna's plan, then Krishna will trash those plans. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. So regarding our parents, we can help them. So when they start now, at least in next birth, they will be starting earlier. So they can at least continue it. And for us, we can make plans, start doing plans. At least we go to different, as you said, Tirtha Yatras. And even we cannot take Vanaprastha, we can also go and visit all the dhams and like that. Yeah, that's helpful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare
One
Krishna.
should always think that I don't know if I'll live till 50 years. So we have to follow these principles basically all the time. Yes, agreed, in the family life, time is less because one has a lot of services. And those are also spiritual services if done in the right consciousness. So all ashramas are great. But yes, in the Vanaprastha, more active involvement, less involvement in materialistic life. Thank you. Any other thoughts, comments, additions, reflections?
Prabhuji, can I ask something?
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Prabhuji, what are the other measures of, just now you said, no, the consciousness that we can create bhakti in others, no, we can, involve that feeling in them, agyas sukriti. Can you throw some more light and can you guide for the measures on this, especially our dear ones, children, husband, and, other near ones?
There are so many things. If you want to list, let's list. Prayer always works. I have seen so many examples. The prayers of devotees, Krishna never, Krishna takes it seriously. Prashadam. They may not know. They may think, oh, it's simple, roti, sabji, or dal, rice, or whatever. But if we sincerely offer to Krishna, it is spiritual. For them, it will be simple, stuff. They may not feel an external difference. But one is without offered to Krishna is just matter, no spiritual value. But if it is offered to Krishna, it's prasadam. And these are for people who don't want to directly take it, who say, I don't want to chant, just get out of here, who are averse to Krishna consciousness. Then giving charity on their behalf. For example, oh, it's their birthday today, it's their anniversary, it's their son's birthday. I want to donate, X amount for on their behalf. Oh, dear cows, I want to serve you, praying to Mother Cow. serving brahmanas, giving charity to cows, brahmanas, etc., serving them because they are dear. Go brahmana hitaicha. That please pray for them. If we pray in mother cow's ear, she listens. She will convey to Krishna. Because she is very dear, then Krishna cannot say no to his devotees because he is bound by his devotees. If brahmanas, if sincere devotees pray for your husband or son or wife or children, whoever, then they will get mercy. So these are indirect ways. Then one can also chant for them. One extra round I want to chant. I want to dedicate this round to my son, daughter, husband, wife, so that they get the full fruit of this. Krishna, please make them devotees. Giving them indirect prasadam or some mercy from dham, or some garland or some flowers offered to the deities. Hey, can you please smell this flower I got for you? And they don't know. They think, okay, flower, yeah, I can smell. But it is called transcendental trickery. Transcendental, we have to trick them. They may not know. They say, oh, it's ordinary rose flower. Yeah, I can smell roses, is nice. But we have to offer it to Krishna before and then smell that and then give it to others. So they smell that flower. So basically all there. And then if we serve them nicely, be kind and gentle. Let's say if your husband is kind and gentle to wife, will the wife will not want to be reciprocative, and vice versa also. If the wife is kind and gentle to the husband will also say, my wife, you're serving me so nicely all the time. You never shout at me. Be kind and cooperative. What can I do for you? Then it's your time. Well, I always wanted to go to ISKCON Alachoy. And can you please take me? I have heard it's really nice and it's so many cows and deities. I would be so happy if you take me there. Then it's a perfect. Can you take me to ISKCON Vrindavan? I always had the desire to see Lord Jagannath. So by our behavior, by our gentle behavior, we can, preach, or preaching is by behavior. So these are like, and helping them slowly, they connect to other devotees. Sometimes, familiarity breeds contempt. They will not hear from us directly because he's my child. What does he know? I have cleaned his, diapers. What does he know to tell me? So they may not hear from us, but they may hear from some other devotees. So I have seen in multiple situations, multiple things working, and all these are very, very simple and effective ways, and all are spiritual. So you have to try. Giving Shastra Dan is also good. Reading Bhagavad Gita, donating Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam on their behalf. All these things are very potent. Neha Bikramanashaste Pratyevayo na vidyat. Even little progress on this path can save one from greatest dangers. What to speak of someone who's sincerely trying? Does that make?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. It's really helpful.
Please pray for me so I can do that. Speaking is easy, big things like Keshi, big mouth. Any other comments? Please add. Correct.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I add something?
Yes, please.
So I would like to share this small experience that while when we were growing up, our parents, how they bring us up, like a very small thing that during this phase of teenage and sometimes when we are very rebellious and we don't listen to our parents. So although my parents not from exactly ISKCON, but they have been brought up with the idea that God's name works wonders. So I remember my mother making chapatis by chanting. Like while chanting, she would make chapatis, and she had this firm faith that would subdue our mind and that remove all the tiffs and all the clashes that is happening in the family. So that always worked. Like it was not once that it never worked, it always works. It's a very small thing, but when you talk of all these things of donating Bhagavad Gita and chanting for others and giving prasadam and having this faith that God is guiding them, so it will go a very, very long way. So I mean, it's just that we have to put more stress on our efforts, how we do it, and rest is taken care of by Krishna. So just small thing to add.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your personal experience. Yes, that's Mata Yashoda formula. She was always Dadi Nirmanthane Kale Smaranti Tani Agayatayu Yani Yani Hagitani Tad Bala Charitani Cha. She was always remembering Krishna while doing household chores, as you said. So, very, very nice. Anything else before we stop? Okay, sorry for going over time. This is one of the big anarthas I have. Please pray so I can be more organized and time bound. Thank you so much, Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samavita
Jai.
Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.